Welcome back, guys. I've got kind of a different one for you here today, but it's also kind of one of those things that nightmares are made of for technicians. I did not take this apart, so I'm just going to kind of show you what's going on here. I probably should have done this when it first came in, but inside of this clear plastic tub were the cylinder heads, bolts, all the parts. This is a 6-cylinder diesel engine. It's a VM Motori. And so we've got some stuff like this. Like, I didn't take this apart, but here we've got R2. I don't know what R2 means. At least it's labeled though. So somebody that took this apart knew to label this stuff. Here's something that's going to be a problem though. This is a fuel injector for a diesel engine. Inside of this end, I'm not sure how well it's going to pick this up. There's all kinds of dirt and junk that has gotten in there since this was disassembled. These systems have very small passages and operate in somewhere in the 25 to 5,000 psi range. I'm probably not going to be able to clean those out. These are going to have to be sent out and gone through by a professional injector place. So there's several $100s that I would not have had to spend had I taken them apart and kept them clean as they need to be. Kind of going along here, we've got these were in the bucket as well. Bucket of bolts. Now this is actually cleaned up a little bit from what it was when it came in. Now the issue with this engine in the first place was it was overheating and pressurizing the coolant. That generally means either a head gasket or a cracked head. So if you look down inside of here, this piston is very, very shiny and clean. This one maybe a little bit, but the rest of them look like standard diesel pistons. These have all been vacuumed out. There was actually a fair amount of stuff down inside of here. But if we look down in this part, this is not going to show up well on camera, but there's all kinds of dirt and junk from this thing sitting open for the last several months. There's actually some fairly large pieces down inside of there. So then we'll get over to the head. So here's our 6-cylinder heads. They're individual heads, kind of a different situation there. This one's got a plate that I'm working on making so I can pressure test them. But if you look close at them, they're actually scratched. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's good. They were, from what I can tell, they were numbered backwards. Cylinders, if you go back to my cylinder numbering, are always numbered from the front of the engine to the crankshaft or transmission or output end of the transmission. From what I can tell, and we've kind of figured this out with it's like this one has a sensor on it, and the way that the glow plug systems are lined up, they are numbered backwards. So again, these were thrown in a bucket. They're kind of filthy. Hopefully none of them have had their mating surface area galled up at all. I didn't really see anything, but I don't believe these heads can be machined. I think these are too close of a tolerance to actually be like resurfaced like you would on most of your gas engines. Like I said, this is kind of one of your nightmare situations as a technician. There are no old gaskets to look at, so I don't have that to try to determine if they were leaking. Everything was thrown in a bucket. This is going to legitimately take far longer to do this way than had it come in as a fully assembled engine. Because now I don't have the original stuff to see witnesses of what was happening. I have to figure out where everything goes. I'm going to actually have to tear that engine apart further in order to clean it to the point where it's not going to clog stuff up and immediately die when we put it back together. It's just a lot more work. So when you see those, they're kind of jokes, but they're like labor rates, labor rate, if you watch, if you help, if you worked on it before, and they keep going up like every time they have a statement. it's kind of a real thing. Like, this would have been cheaper to do right from the start. Now it's probably going to cost more than if it had come in as a complete running engine. And why is that? Because it's going to take more time. We've got things like those injectors, if they were functional before, I could have kept those clean. I could have kept everything out of there. And there's no way I can put those back on an engine at this point and expect them to work properly. That is too precision of a piece of equipment for me to really clean out here. So those are going to have to be either sent out or replaced. It snowballs. Some technicians won't even touch something like this. I'm going to. I'll get it figured out. We'll get it back together and running. But it would have been easier if it would have been complete when it came in. And again, those are cleaned up. It's been vacuumed, it's been cleaned up. That looks better than it did yesterday. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again later.